Ah, بسم الله. شيخ خليل.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا خصوصا من الكبرياء والهواء والشهوات من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضل إلا نفسه ولا يضل الله شيئا فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم في الحديث بلغوا عني ولو آية أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح يا عليم افتح لنا فتحا قريبا اللهم اجعلنا دعاة إليك وإلى رسولك اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا القرآن الكريم اللهم ربنا زدنا علما. Alhamdulillah, respected elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, this is a very, very trying time. So the ayah that I quoted in the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, Am hasibtum an tadkhulul jannah. Do you think, O Muslims, that you will enter the Jannah, walamma ya'tikum, and nothing yet has touched you? And to this point, nothing yet has touched you. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Nothing of what had touched the people before you has even touched you yet. مَسَّتُمْ, what touched them? مَسَّتُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ. They had experienced extreme poverty, بَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ, and pain and difficulty and hardships. وَزُلْزِلُوا, and they were shaken to their cores. حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ, unto the point that even the messenger, the one who's getting the wahi from Allah, even he had to cry out to Allah. حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ, and those who believe with him, what did they say? مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ, when is the help of Allah going to come? When is the help of Allah? So the scholars have explained, how much difficulty the Anbiya alayhi salam would go through, and how much trial Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them through. And they're ma'soom, they don't have sin. They don't have any reason for Allah to punish them or anything like that to make their lives difficult. But Allah still tested them. Allah actually made their lives more full of tests than anyone else. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Ashaddu nasi bala'an, the people whom Allah tests the most, al-anbiya, are the messengers. Thumma amthaluhum. Then those who are closest to them in conduct, then those who are even closer to them in conduct after that. So there's no escape. Or did we think we would enter the Jannah free of cost? There's no escape. So we have to expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test us. And we're going to experience some trial and some difficulty. It has to come. The test must come. And now, when we look in the world, all around us, we see that test. We see how other people are being tested. We see the situation in Palestine. We see the situation in Sudan. We see the situation in Syria. And now we see the situation amongst ourselves, even for ourselves. And it's much lighter than what they're experiencing. But we're going to experience something. And we're experiencing right now. And what I'm referring to in particular is the fact that we have a situation where tomorrow a lot of people are going to be feeling the pinch. A lot of people will be feeling the pinch. People from within our ranks, people outside of our ranks, they'll be feeling the pinch. And that's just the beginning. We don't know how bad it could get. So, did we think that just because we live in America, we couldn't get tested with difficulty and hardship? There's no guarantees about that. In fact, the guarantee is to the opposite, that we will be tested. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, He said, did we not travel in the earth and see what was the end of the people before us? كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنْهُمْ قُوَّةً. They had more power than us. وَأَثَارُوا الْأَرْضَ. And they did more on the earth. They had more bigger buildings, stronger buildings. They were stronger people. كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنْهُمْ قُوَّةً وَأَثَارُوا الْأَرْضَ وَعَمَرُوهَا أَكْثَرَ مِمَّا عَمَرُوهَا. And they even lived longer than us. They had stronger, longer lives. And what was their end? We don't even know about them except Some of them, we didn't even write about them in the history books. There's nothing left, no remains for some of them. And some of them, there's only remains. Do we not think that we can't be Allah cannot afflict us? We're not safe. No one's safe from Allah. Even the righteous, the most righteous, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them. So we have to be expecting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test us. And brace ourselves for the test. We have to be ready for the test. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though He tests us, He won't give us a burden greater than we can bear. He won't give us a burden greater than we can bear. But if we're not strong in the face of the test, how can we handle it? We have to build our strength. We have to build our capacity so that we can handle it when it comes. Because this capacity to handle the test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to put on us, and the difficulties and the trial that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to put us through, this capacity is not just something that is automatically there. It has to be cultivated. It has to be nurtured. It has to be built. The same that we set a foundation to build a building. So if we're not doing the things that strengthen that foundation, then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala visits us with tests, even tomorrow, that'll be a test for a lot of us. Not just in our ranks, but outside as well. November 1st. November 1st? It's tomorrow. And a whole bunch of things are going to be different tomorrow. So, if we're not ready, if we're not cultivating the strength to handle the test, how are we going to respond? And that's not to say that, we should be, turning away and becoming stuck in our own silos, in our own little spaces. Actually, what we need to do and what Allah wants to see us do is come together. Allah loves when the believers come together. Allah loves to see 2 people praying more than He loves to see 8 people praying individually. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves to see 8 people praying in collectivity more than He loves to see 100 people praying in collectivity, individually. So the prescription for us is to come together in these times of difficulty and not to separate and become concerned about ourselves alone. That's what they want to happen by restricting the resources. They want us to turn against one another and fight for them. But what I'm proposing is that we should have a radical opposition to that. A radical and revolutionary opposition to that. One based on love and ikram and unity and holding one another, locking arms with one another, not turning against each other. The solution is unity, and the help of Allah is with the Jama'at. The Jama'at, Allah, His hand of protection is over the Jama'at. So our solution is with each other. Our solution is in coming together. And the other part of the solution for us is radical and revolutionary ibadah and devotion to Allah. That is the solution to our problems. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala visits us with situations in order for us to return to Him, in order for us to return to the ibadah that we've been neglecting, in order for us to return to the dua that we haven't been making. So that is the second part. Maybe the first part, actually. I should say that's the first part of the solution, but I said it's second. So it's the second in my order. But it's the other part of the solution, which is that we have to double our efforts, have a revolutionary approach to our ibadah, have a radical approach to our devotions to Allah. We should be making dua, and we should be making ibadah. We should be making dhikr. We should be reading Quran. We should be doing all the things. We should be fasting. We should be doing all the things that we normally neglect, and do them in a radical way, excessively. I would say excessively, not even because there's no excess with Allah. You can't overdo it. But we should be so engrossed in those activities, in those actions, those good amal, that we attract the help of Allah. And when we have the help of Allah, we have power. And if we do those things, we will even see the help of Allah come. The same way the Muslims saw the angels on Badr. The same way the Muslims saw the angels when they were 333 and outnumbered, and they saw the angels coming to assist them, they saw the help of Allah. If we come together like that, and we are devoted to Allah the way we ought to be, and more, we will see the help of Allah. Allah will assist us. Allah will strengthen us, and we'll be a model for the people outside. And not only that, we'll have the capacity to bring them in. We'll have the capacity to bring them in, to help them out, to rectify our situation and their situation. Because remember, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, A'malukum ammarukum. He said, your deeds are your rulers. Your deeds are your rulers. So when our deeds become better, and when our deeds become proper, we will have better leadership. We will have better rulers. We will have a situation that is more amicable and peaceful. So we have to, the onus is on us, the Muslims, to rectify our lives. Allah doesn't respond to what is they're doing. He responds to what we're doing. What are we doing? Are we enjoining right and forbidding wrong? If we do that, that'll rectify what's outside. And then if we do our devotions and we show love for one another, and we don't reject one another, we'll have peace inside. And these are things that we're not aware of. It's just things that we've been neglecting. We've been neglecting these things, and so the result is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to visit us with the trial. He's going to send upon us the situations that would bring us back to Him. And this is a beautiful thing, actually. This is a mercy. This is a sign of Allah's love for us. This is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually loves us and doesn't want us to go astray. When He gives you a nudge on your rope, when He gives us a nudge on our rope to bring us back, and we come right back, that's better for us than if we pull the other direction and continue to try to wrestle our way out of His inescapable grip. So the onus on us now, what we are called upon to do now, is to turn back to Allah radically and revolutionarily. That's a word, but real hardcore, really with firm intention and devotion and dedication. Turn back to Allah, and with a type of resolve that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look at our situation and change it, and make our situation more favorable. Because the only way that we are even in this situation with leadership that is against us. If really it's against us, because you don't cut the most essential programs, the most essential program that people need, which is the food. You don't cut the food. You never do that. Unless something is really either wrong with you or you just have a really, really evil heart. You can't cut the food. What are you doing? So the only reason why this is the case is because we've been negligent. And the only way it's going to get better is if we turn back with the type of, in the type of way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased. And if we do it in a way that we reject the objectives or don't accept the objectives that are intended from this sort of action, which is social unrest, maybe some rioting, maybe crime and all these different things, right? If we reject that and to make us turn against one another, if we reject those things and come closer to one another, and we reject the despair that it wants to bring upon us and turn closer to Allah, then we affirm the ayah, which is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَأْبَى اللَّهُ إِلَّا أَن يُتِمَّ نُورَهُ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. Allah refuses that His light should be outed or should be removed. Allah refuses anything except that His light should be perfected, even though the disbelievers detest it. So this is our opportunity to turn back to Allah with a type of resolve and a type of seriousness and conviction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will alter our situation. And no one should think, that it affects one demographic of the population. I know for a fact that poverty has many different faces. And I know PhD students at University of Chicago that get food stamps. So it affects everybody. And no one can act as if, one segment of a society doesn't impact another. Because if ICE is running in the streets and pulling up people all over the place, even at will, then there's no way that that's going to promote people being outside and being happy and being generous and even tourism in the city, right? All these kinds of things are affected. One thing affects the other. So one segment of the society is a domino and can have an effect on every level of the society. So we shouldn't think that just because it doesn't affect me directly, it's not going to affect me at all. It will. And it affects us all because we're all interdependent and codependent on one another. So we should definitely be aware of what's going on and practice the type of actions and a'mal that are going to be solutions for us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. الله خير عما يشركون بل الله خير يا رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, my respected brothers and sisters and elders, Alhamdulillah, you guys, some of you may know and some of you may not know, I am responsible as well for a small community in the island of Jamaica. I grew up there, and my father built a masjid down there. And it has come a long way, mashallah, from where it was. We started out as a tent under a mango tree. And it's been over 30 years that it's existed, and it's continued to grow from stage to stage. So now we have, a concrete structure and land and a graveyard and so on. And we're very proud of that, but at the same time, there's still a lot of work to do. And I'm not here a lot of people don't know that about me, but some people actually do know that, mashallah. But there, like I was mentioning earlier in the khutbah, that calamity has stricken all over the globe. ظهر الفساد في الأرض. All over the world, fasad has taken place. So we've seen the atrocities in Palestine, Sudan, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, all over the globe. And now we're experiencing difficulty here, right? Well, the people of Jamaica for 2 years in a row, and not just the people in general, but in particular, our community down there has experienced a hurricane 2 years in a row. Last year, it was a category 4 hurricane. And this year is a category 5. And 2 years in a row, almost to the date, right? They've experienced this kind of devastation. And the Muslim community there is very small. But it's hard for them to feel the connection because of that, because they're in a remote island, and because they're a small community, and many of them are poor Muslimin, right? It's hard for them to feel the connectedness between the ummah, the wider and larger ummah. So they're practicing deen, but in their own silos, in their own little community. So it's rare that they have involvement from, the wider Muslim community internationally, and see themselves as a part of something greater than that small locality. So, as I was saying though, the devastation of that hurricane, of these 2 hurricanes, has really, really been more than they can handle. The last time, the first year, one of the brothers even lost his entire house. People sometimes build their houses for survival, and they have small little huts, essentially. And one of our brothers in the community actually lost his entire house. And he had 2 children at the same time that he's raising, and his wife. And because of our own weakness, our own inability, he had to get help from the Christians. And the Christians helped him out and rebuilt his house in a better and stronger way. I don't know what the status of his house is now, but I know that if we have the ability to help those Muslims, it'll go a long way. It'll go a long way for their own financial and needs, but it'll also go a long way in helping them to know that the Muslims in other parts of the world care about them, and that they're a part of our brotherhood. And that'll be good for our own salvation, but it'll also be good, as I was saying, for our collectiveness as a ummah. So I'm making an appeal to the Jamaat to donate generously today, this after Juma, in support of relief efforts that are going on down there. Really, honestly, the place is devastated. Many of the people have lost their rooftops. Some of the schools have even been flattened. It's really not an easy situation, and most people would not know about it unless you've been fixated on the news, or you have relatives down there, or you have some kind of connection. So whatever the brothers and sisters can do for the support of particularly the Muslim community, right? Because they're our brothers and sisters. It would be greatly appreciated, and I'm sure it'll go a long way. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put generosity in our hearts and give us tawfiq. I mean, what Prophet ﷺ said, Wallahu fi auni al-abd, ma kana al-abdu fi auni akhi. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be in our help as long as in the help of his servant, as long as that servant is in the help of his brother. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وسلم تسليما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم في الحديث أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر وأصدقهم حياء عثمان وأقضاهم علي وفاطمة سيدة نساء أهل الجنة والحسن والحسين سيدا شباب أهل الجنة وحمزة أسد الله وأسد رسوله اللهم اغفر للعباس وولده مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة لا تغادر ذنبا الله في أصحابي لا تتخذوهم غرضا من بعدي فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم وخير القرون قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين وانصرنا على أعدائك أعداء الدين ولا تجعلنا معهم اللهم انصر إخواننا المجاهدين في كل مكان خاصة في قدس فلسطين اللهم دمر أعداءهم وخذهم بأخذ عزيز مقتدر اللهم اطمس على أموالهم واشدد على قلوبهم فإنهم لا يؤمنون حتى يروا العذاب الأليم اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت إنه لا يعز من عاديت ولا يذل من واليت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت اللهم ربنا هب لنا عملا صالحا يقربنا إليك اللهم انصر المسلمين في جامايكا اللهم أعدهم وعنهم اللهم أعطهم ولا تقصر عليهم يا رب العالمين اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون وأقيموا الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد